Hello, everyone. It's good to be back after taking a much needed break. Welcome to FemiD Live this very evening. Well, if you noticed, a lot is going on in my country, Nigeria, and there's a lot of reasons to make comments. Some even say commendations. And if you choose to go to the extreme end, you may find the word condemnation even as part of the things you would see going on across the country. My name is FemiD, and my job is to put together the analysis around some of the biggest stories in the country. Today on the show, I have of good interest to specify or to take keen interest on what happens next. Well, the report from the Vice President on the position of the Secretary General of the Federation earlier held has now been concluded. It was passed on to President Buhari, who has now passed on his own. As you may guess, already a new secretary to the government of the Federation has been nominated. In fact, he has been, let me use the word they use in the religious setting, he has been anointed for service. But then, what happens next to the former SGF? What happens to the former NIA Boss, the likes of the former SGF, Babacha David Lawal, who the National Assembly chose carefully to look through its own report regarding the Northeast and find to a large extent convinced, and in fact, if they were the judge, they would have been certain that it deserves some level of conviction. But fortunately, unfortunately, they are not. Babacha David Lawal at the moment is not responding to what to do next. What do I mean? Now, it's been replaced, but then being replaced, does it also imply that he has committed some level of work that may be found of public distrust, meaning using funds belonging to the public, to the government, for other purposes than intended? Normally, that would be described as bouncing corruption or some level of corruption, using his own position to the best of his own advice. But then what should happen next to some of these people that one way or the other did not get, that the president did not use the legal parameters or the legal platform to detect what they have done wrong? Oh, what do I mean? Explain very easy for you. Normally, when someone is being charged to court, at that point is described as a suspect. There's the prosecuting team, there's a defense team. The defense team naturally jumps in his front and says, my client did not do this. The prosecuting team, on the other hand, keeps looking and find ways to point out why the client did what he said he did. And then the judge will have to weigh the arguments alongside with the witnesses, alongside with the evidence provided, and pass a verdict. In this case, the former SGF, let me go with the SGF, well, he's been found to have done things wrong. I guess that's the reason why he lost his position as the SGF. Then, what should happen to him? What is the legal framework that would allow the President Muhammadu Buhari, to choose what should happen next? Would he be handing over or gaining access, or would the likes of the EXECUTIVE take charge from this point forward to say, oh yes, now that the president has said you're not in service, you deserve to be investigated, and now we can push and possibly put forward the case? Will the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria respond with such fight, with such flair, with such poise, if I may say? Now, these are key issues that one would ask. Now, the money discovered by, well, supposedly belonging to the NIA, one would also think and say, so, money has been discovered, now it's being used in the best way it can, and I'm wondering in my head, really, just in the most simple way, what happens to the NIA Boss as well? Does it get to go away on simple grounds? Does it get to leave on simple grounds? Which brings me to another example. The former chairman of the Presidential Tax Reform on Pensions, Mina, yes, is another key character when it comes to public officers that possibly have put their hand in the cookie pot, wait, in the public pot, and, well, all they do possibly appear to have received from the government is a slap on the wrist. Oh, that's not my wrist, this is the wrist. Yes, slap on the wrist. Or wait, suspended, away, not exactly wanted, just people are just angry. Body language says you're disappointed, but then no push through to find out what happens next. during the week, the pension reform man responded in the closets of the closets of the closets. Who knows where that is? But it had some response through the Menas family spokesman, who possibly described how his client had helped the Nigerian government save money. And also, by the way, added one new twist, saying that the president should investigate further. Does this mean the investigation done by the vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, was not good enough, of good quality, of good interest, or clear enough to either convince the president to say this is on, or is he asking the president to do another investigation in order to exonerate himself? Or is that investigation going to prove that, well, much of the information the vice president used to process to determine that he has done something wrong is limited? That's another question to wonder about. And then, if this man says some of the money I saved is in the TSA account, my thinking would be, if I have a mobile phone, at any point in time, I can see the credits, the debits, the money that comes in, the money that leaves the account. And if the government had some sort of mobile telephone, I'm almost convinced that somebody may have noticed that credit enters, or there's a debit alert at some point in time in that same account. That much of the fund performed by MENA didn't display was the activity, some sort from his organization, his own reform, his tax form, that reflected in the TSC account, or was that not reflected? Because if it's reflected, you may just have an argument to say, yes, I did my best. Sincerely, I really did my best to portray who I am. A man of credibility, a man of good stand, and I would not like my name to be tarnished. Oh, yes, somebody put forward this argument that corruption may just be fighting back, and it's fighting back in its own way. Well, it may not really supposed to be celebrated as against being made, what's that word for it? As against being made the man who is wanted. Is it supposed to be celebrated? Is it supposed to go from being a suspect to be someone that should be pointing out where the money may have been taken, or who possibly tried to take the money and he was not, and never allowed that to take place? That's the question to look at it from, the perspective to look at it from. It's a two-sided coin. Should the government have allowed the legal system, the justice arm of government, to take a stand to purge the executive arm of government of some public officers, one way or the other, as against the executive arm making an attempt to purge itself? How does this work? The executive purge. I think that's the name of this. How does this work? The executive purge. The president recently also confirmed that it will be adding more hands to the table, more people to work, more salaries to pay, more appointees of government. But he did not confirm if he was letting go of some. You and I think through and think deep and even come to realize that there are people that need to go. I'm not calling names. But then, what point does that make a difference? Yes, but I do forget. So, the judge yesterday in the case of Alice Madikwe described the need for her to come home as a, not, well, what's the word exactly? She's supposed to be in the country because her name came up in a mere statement, not because there's a status charge against her. You know, the judge summarized much of his findings and concluded that if there's any reason she has to come home, it has to be something that is bizarre and misconceived that you would grant such. But then he also did make it clear that the power to prosecute regarding what should happen truly lies with the attorney, with his words exactly, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation. That's what he did describe. Well, will the executive arm take interest in more people processing things differently at a time when the methodology in the fight against corruption is a little bit being described as not exactly following its format. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice of Nigeria says since he arrived in office from March of this year till now, he has over 1,000 high-profile cases he has to attend to. I can only imagine what that feels like. Would a special court do the job? More hands in the federal executive would it mean more people who would do better? Would it also mean more people who could do better? Or should I go with the words of Senator Tinubu, who says, well, the new folks are very much welcome on board? How do we evaluate the legal system, or how do we allow the legal system to do the purging when the executive arm of government chooses who to purge, how well to purge? You know what I mean by purge? There's a time when your stomach is upset. And when there's that moment when you feel it's really bad, we often use this word. We say we have a running stomach, where you can hear the movements, the clashes of all eating, from the ogbono soup to the okra soup. It's all in there, chanting, asking for an exit. Is this an executive purge that is welcome? Choosing how well to purge who, when to purge who, and how long it will take to purge. This would have to be my thoughts that I would like to leave with you for today. Thanks for listening in and watching live. This is FemiD Live.